Hey everyone, I'm Danny Ortega and am a storyteller and researcher on the Intuit team. I have the privilege of talking to so many amazing entrepreneurs and small businesses. And I would love to introduce our three panelists that we have today. We've got Diana, Michael, and Lucy. And we have two amazing businesses that we're going to feature and talk about. I want to start with you, Diana. If you could tell me a little bit about Three Gems Tea and how it started.
Yeah, so I'm the co-founder of Three Gems Tea. I'm based in Los Angeles, and my co-founder Ayumi is based in Tokyo. And we source single origin loose leaf oolong teas grown organically, currently from China and Taiwan, but we're working on Japan as well. And we really wanted to get in the business of making tea breaks fun and accessible for everyone. I grew up, or my family comes from this region of China where Gong Fu tea breaks are part of the everyday, like multiple times a day in between meals. You drink it to digest and get ready to eat your next big meal. And it's just a really nice way to stop, slow down, enjoy the company of the people around you, and enjoy some really delicious tea, usually from the mountains nearby or a little further afield. But we really wanted to bring that vibe, that moment of like peace and connection to an American audience. So that's how we got started.
Michael and Lucy, you have a really cool product. I'd love to hear more about Calm Strips, and you're a few years into this journey. What is it going? How's it going so far?
Hello, it's going pretty good. My name is Michael. I'm the inventor of CommStrips and the co-founder of the company. For those who don't know, CommStrips, they're textured sensory stickers. I got some on my phone here. They got cool, nifty. We have four different textures to choose from, and they're really great for people who deal with restless energy or anxiety. We also work a lot with the autistic community, the ADHD community, and I'll be using this constantly throughout our session today. Yeah, we started the business in 2019, early 2020, but didn't really take off until Lucy joined in and showed me how to do everything. So she's really the brains of the operation. But go ahead.
No, that's not true at all. Yeah, business is good, to answer your question. Yeah, like I said, or not, I didn't say, like Michael said, we got together, we'd known each other for a while. We worked at Apple, but just having something that could possibly, much like a tea break, just calm you down, like take a moment and bring whatever you're doing in here in your head and just bring it down for a moment and kind of ground yourself wherever you are, be it at work, at a busy place, or if you are, it doesn't matter where you are because people get anxious or, stressed out a lot of places. But yeah, it's been really fun to create a brand and a company that, follows the values that Michael and I both have. And yeah, we're having fun, honestly.
Well, I can only imagine how calm I might be right now if I had some Calm Strips and some tea right here in front of me. I've got some on the way, and I'm excited. Michael, you were user number one for this, and you started with a very interesting prototype. I think it was painter's tape. I don't know if it was masking painter's blue. Can you tell me about that? And how do you go from that to where you're at today?
Yeah, so Lucy mentioned a little bit earlier, we worked together at the Apple store for about 5 years. And I don't know if you've ever been in an Apple retail store before, but they get super slam busy a lot of time, especially on the weekends. And I would find myself when it was really packed, like kind of shoulder to shoulder, I would get very kind of anxious, and it would kind of trigger me. So in our repair room, we had like blue carpenter's tape that we used for stuff. And I would start like kind of wrapping it around my finger. And I just kind of found just kind of the sensation of kind of having that thing there to ground myself being really helpful for me, and kind of bringing my anxiety down and kind of calming me down. And while that's cool, it's also kind of has some issues. I mean, your fingers are sticky afterwards, and people are like, "What's up with that blue tape on your finger?" Which is minor issues, but I figure, how can we make this a better idea? So I figure most people now, they either have their phone with them or they have their laptop. So we developed a product that you could stick on there. They're reusable and residue free, so you don't have to worry about anything getting on your phone or anything like that. And we've since then, that was kind of how it started. And now we've kind of done all different kinds of shapes, and we have strips, and we have like breathing design. So like, I'm going to like figure eight breathing, like lazy eight breathing, or rainbow breathing. Like we have designs that still have the texture, but kind of have that integrated in for mindful breathing as well. So yeah, that's kind of how it started.
Could you hold one of those designs up if you don't mind? Just one more time. As you hold that in your hand and you feel the texture, and I'd love to just kind of get your perspective, both you and Lucy. You made this happen through probably a lot of people that would question whether this is a good idea, through a lot of roadblocks, through a lot of things that you had to go through to actually make this a real thing and put it in the hands of thousands or hundreds of thousands, or maybe more than that, of kids and people who are struggling with the same things that you're struggling with. What does that feel like? What does that mean to you?
It's really cool. I mean, to be very honest with you, like to your point, we get a lot of pushback from people that, oh, I don't need that. I'm not in. Cool. Not everybody does. And I am so happy for you that you don't need it, right? Like, that's great. But the fact of the matter is there are a lot of people out there, myself, Michael included, that, we sometimes need to be reminded that life is going to go on. We're going to be okay. And even if it's just like using this as a touchstone to, remind myself, hey, things are going to be okay. I might be a little nervous, a little anxious right now. We did we still do a lot of community engagement in our area with, so we're doing surfers healing this summer. There's just some things that, really speak to us because they are trying to destigmatize mental health and the need for tools. So we do a lot of work with the communities that we know will benefit. And it's been really, really rewarding to watch a little kid, come up and just be like, oh, I really like this. You know what I mean? Like, you can see it. It's not just a pretty sticker, although they are very pretty and they do stick to things. It's really cool. Or even like an older person that is like, oh, I don't need this, but then they start like touching it and then they're not even realizing that they are now ingrained in the comm strips world. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's been really rewarding to watch people's light bulb kind of go on.
Diana, I know you're sipping tea. I don't know what flavor. I'd love to know. When you take a taste of that tea, looking back at the journey that you took to get where you are, which I know has not been easy. You've got beautiful branding, but your tea is coming from a different place in the world that's so close to you and what you care about. And you've built this wonderful community and company. How does that feel like to be in this place, be able to like sample your product and to know that you've built this thing that's really special to you?
It's an amazing feeling. I am drinking Lightning Strike Oolong to answer your first question. And it's a Dansong Oolong from the Phoenix Mountains in Chaozhou, China, which is where my family is from. And Dansong Oolongs are a category of oolong tea that is really prized for their fragrance and their variety. Ayumi and I really wanted to focus on oolong specifically because we felt like it was kind of a misunderstood category of tea in America, especially where everyone knows what green tea is and what black tea is, but oolong, we often still get questions like, is oolong a green tea? So we just wanted to like educate people more on what oolong is. And oolong is said to be kind of like the test of a tea maker because it's really complicated to make and it can be oxidized to a whole range of levels. And the varietals that are made into oolongs are so diverse, and dansongs especially are so fragrant. They're often named for like the different fruits or flowers that it evokes. This one, Lightning Strike, has like a really strong flavor. The origin story of this one is that the original mother tree was struck by lightning, but only half of it died. And so the farmer was able to save the other half and like heal it and bring it back to life, and love the flavor so much. So it's called Lightning Strike. But the word dansong, I forgot to mention, actually means like single tree. So it's like really like take single origin to an even deeper level. It's like now it means, just that particular varietal, but originally the true dansongs were like this one tree produces this one varietal. So it's really cool to be able to get a taste of a very specific terroir and, you know, a particular tea master and what he's done to these beautiful plants. Um, and it's really cool to have that, you know, in my home here in Los Angeles and get a taste of, you know, the motherland. But I will say, like, beyond just being able to work with these amazing organic farmers across the ocean, we also work with local artisans here in Los Angeles. So this mug that I'm drinking, we are unfortunately all sold out, but we worked with um, a local ceramicist, a Filipino American, here in LA. She runs Salamat Ceramics. And we asked her, like, could she help us make an infuser mug that would fit an infuser basket perfectly? Because that's how we recommend that you brew your loose leaf tea so that the leaves can all unfurl. Because nice loose leaf is, you know, big full leaves. And it's really like a full body experience where it's not just experiencing it in your mouth and the taste, it's also the aroma as you're brewing it, it's the heat on your hand, you know, it's sitting down to it and taking a moment, like I said before. And so we really wanted to pair the teaware to kind of match the fun also of tea drinking, because we really, you know, want to celebrate all these different varietals of teas. And it's exciting to drink all these different varietals. They taste so different, even though they're all oolongs. And so we saw a lot of teaware out there that was kind of more like zen and sedate, which is also really nice. But we thought there should be an alternative that celebrates the more fun side of gathering for tea, even if it's just by yourself. And so actually we also created a gongfu tea set with artisans in Jingdezhen, China, which is like the porcelain capital of China. And we created this like traditional gongfu tea set, but in our own color palette. And this is the kind of tea set that, well, we launched with this tea set because this is what you would drink tea with in Caozhou in China. This is what you see. Like literally every family has multiple sets. Every shopkeeper has a set. You go into like buy meat at the butcher stand and they have like a gongfu tea set behind the counter for like in between customers, or you go to like shop for clothing and the proprietor will like be like, come in, and like you have tea first before you actually shop for something. So it's very much a part of the culture. And so we just wanted to put our own spin on it. But it's been really amazing to be able to work with these amazing artisans, these farms that are growing, you know, with land stewardship in mind, and with flavor in mind, and just being able to collaborate with people from around the world and share it with customers around the world has been really fulfilling.
You both have this passion for the different products that you make, and you have a vision for what you want to bring to the world and how you want to help people, how you want to influence them in very different ways, and you have belief that you can do it. And that belief is maybe the most important part, because it's hard to come by the enough belief to go out and take the steps and make this product real. All of those things don't mean that you're going to have a successful business. I'd love to talk about, like, aside from those really important aspects of your business, how is business going? How do you stay in business? How do you pay your employees? How do you grow and scale? And maybe we'll start with you, Michael and Lucy. You know, what those are, I know those are not easy questions, but I'd love to hear how it's going.
Yeah, so that's kind of weird. But I will say it's first I just want to say, Diana, that was amazing talking about tea, because I think like part of going back to what you said, I drink tea every once in a blue moon. I've never really thought that deeply about it. I would be really crap at running a tea company, but it's clear that you just have a passion for it. And I think like that, like you said, I think like that's kind of what you have to have, because like no matter what you do, what I found is, especially because we do a lot of like advertising on social media and stuff like that, is like we could say like kittens are cute, and like there'd be a small percentage of people who are like, no, they're the scourge of the earth, or something like that. Like you could say like the most innocuous things, and people, you'll find people who will like kind of try and knock it. And so I think like you have to have that passion to start, but then you also have to kind of have the perseverance to like keep going, because we're still we're like 3 years into this journey, and there are still days where I'm like, we're going to go out of business tomorrow, like where I'm like freaking out because something's come up, or there's an issue with a supplier, or there's an issue with our online store, or and there's things that come up every day. And I think like for a small business especially, I think Diana's the same, like we're bootstrapped, like we didn't go out and say, we didn't go out and do like, here's how you start a business, you do we just kind of make it up as we go along, when we try and do our best. And so I think it's a daily struggle still. And I always hope that there'll be a day where it won't be so hard, but I think that's also kind of a little bit of a pipe dream, because it's like to walk kind of your own path, which I think is what both of us are doing, what all of us are doing. It's going to be a little bit harder. It's going to be a little bit more, I guess, dangerous, more precarious than kind of walking the more trodden path. But the passion, like you said, I think that's what kind of keeps you going, and knowing that there are people. I know for me, it's like, I usually, if things I'm feeling down about something, I'll read like a customer testimonial or two that we've gotten, and I'll be like, okay, cool. So this is doing some good out there in the world. People seem to be liking it and using it. And so that's kind of what I go back to, is like, ultimately, my wife told me when I first started this business, it was like, if this helps one person, you've done good in the world. And so that's kind of the mindset I try and keep as we kind of continue to move forward.
Yeah, you talked about like having the bravery to do this. And I think every day about like imposter syndrome, which is quite the opposite, but it's also the thing that really kind of makes me, when I get here, I go, okay, but surely we're doing something right? And then to Michael's point, reading the things that customers say to us in a positive way is great. I also kind of love when we get a comment on Facebook or Instagram and somebody's like, who needs this? And then our customers, not even us, but our customers come back and they're like, we do. Calm down. There are people who do this, like, and it's really quite nice to have your customers have your back. And I don't know, just building that community around something that is oftentimes either overlooked or shunned, like having mental health issues, is really quite nice.
That's so amazing to hear you say, and I have so much admiration for entrepreneurs and people who run a small business and are able to pursue that dream. My dad had a mechanic shop for more than 50 years in Richmond, California. And I took that for granted so much when I was a kid, because I didn't know how hard it was to, like, 50 years of owning a small business. Like, most people don't last 2 years that try it. And it's very much a reason why I'm here today, working with Intuit, working with QuickBooks, because I know it feels so lonely, but we are here in your corner. We are trying to figure out what can we do to help you, get towards the place that you want to be. And we know it's very difficult. And I'll kind of start there with my next question. Maybe Diana, you can answer this. What's the hardest part of your business story to talk about right now?
Well, first of all, like everything that you guys said, Michael and Lucy, like totally resonates. I really feel that in my core. It's just honestly, like everything is hard when you're your own boss. Like it's great to have the flexibility and to pursue what you want to pursue, and to bring things that you've dreamed up to life. But then, like you're responsible for like every single aspect of the business. Like, something goes wrong with, the importing papers, and you have to like figure it out ASAP, or it's going to be held at customs, or, some glitch in the website, like everything falls on you, and so I think it's just like, sometimes there are days when I'm like, it'd be nice to have someone else tell me what to do. Because it's just, it would be nice to have like a more discreet to-do list. But also, like, I wouldn't trade this for the world. I love doing it. Just like on a personal note, I have a 6-month-old. I'm a first-time mom. And so just like figuring out my whole life again, post baby has been a real challenge, and like figuring out like, balancing, this company baby with my real baby. That's been tough. But I think what I found most important has been the relationships. And so like my partnership with Ayumi is like rock solid. And so I feel like really secure that we'll always figure out any challenge. Like I think we just work really well together. And clearly like Michael and Lucy, you guys have that kind of like rapport and partnership as well. But I think it's just really important to have a team that you trust fully and that you can bounce ideas off of, know they'll have your back no matter what. And so I think we've always prized having, each other's well-being first and foremost ahead of like, unrelenting growth. We're definitely not like we're not a unicorn of any sort, like we're really trying to like you guys, build like the company that we want to see in the world with the values that we hold dear. And so it's a much slower pace of growth than maybe like a VC backed company or something. But what's important to us is to like build something sustainable for the long term, even if it means it's going to take a little bit longer to get there. And also to just like work with these people who are doing amazing things out in the world.
I know ideas are easier to come by than capital at times. And I know Michael and Lucy, you all have had the experience of going through Shark Tank. And I'd love to talk about that a little bit, but more importantly, where are you taking the business and what's in your way of getting where you want to go?
I just want to say really quickly that we too know that, yeah, we could grow this thing so big, but that's not our goal right now. So is it to grow? Yes, absolutely. But to Diane's point, like we want to grow it so that it is sustainable. We want to do the right thing at the right time. And that is, it's a hard, tightrope to walk, because you're like, oh, I can just do this. And, people are going to love it. But is it something that we can do? Is it something sustainable? Yeah.
I think one of the things for us like this year that I kind of kicked off like our first big meeting of the year. We have 7 employees, so we're a small team, but was like streamline and simplify, because like we were trying to manage an Amazon business and manage DTC and do retail and do customs, and like there's only 7 of us. Like we can only do so much, and like Diana said, like growth can't be an end in and of itself. And like you mentioned, like having a team that you can trust. Like most of the team that I work with either were silly enough to leave Apple to come, work with me, or are people that I've known for over 20 years. So like everybody here is kind of a known quantity in a really good way, and are fully trusted. And so I look at it and I go, cool, if we can make a good, high quality product that is helping people out there in the world, and it's enough to pay us and kind of a reasonable wage, and we can go out there and be proud of what we do every day. I think that's enough. And like I kind of hit a point like late last year when I was like, cool, I have like one of 2 options. We can go like Diana was saying, like more of a VC route and like start taking money and like really blow it up. And I was like, I'm not going to be happy doing that. Like, it's just not like, I have no aspiration to be a business that's 10 times as large as what it is now, because I couldn't imagine being responsible. It's hard for me on a lot of days being quote unquote responsible for 7 people. I couldn't imagine being responsible for 70 or 700. And so for me, it's like, I think we're going to remain a relatively small business. Like Shark Tank was like not on our radar. It wasn't like we were like, cool, let's get ready for my close-up, Mr. DeMille. It was really like they happened, like we launched during the pandemic. So I think that was a moment when kind of mental health was on everyone's mind. And it just so happened like a producer for the show saw one of our ads on social media and emailed us. And I originally thought it was like we thought we were spam, like it was like we were being punked or something like that. And we were just like, how can we, at that point, we were like, how can we not go for this? And we're just like, at some point, they're going to wake up and be like, we're going to put these 2 people on television. Like, what the heck's going on? They got this tiny little sticker company. And we just kept going, and they kept like letting us keep going on. So, I mean, I kept going through all this process. So, but yeah, I think growth for a long time, like that was like my number one focus, like growth, 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 growth. We gotta grow, we gotta grow, we gotta grow. And then I kind of came to the realization, like toward the end of last year, is like, that's not making me happy. That's not bringing me joy. And like the reason I'm doing this versus continuing to work at Apple or doing other things, not that Apple's not a wonderful place to work, is that I want to be happy. I want more flexibility, spend time with my family. And if I'm, working my fingers to the bone, stressing about all the things that you need to do to grow a business, it's going to not be worth it at the end of the day.
So I do have to say, Shark Tank was a wild, wild ride, right? And we made a deal on the show, and they do not all end up in ink, and ours did not. And I'll be honest with you, I think it is a blessing that it didn't, because we would have owed more money than we have, and that's not okay. But we also we gained a little bit of credibility, going out and talking to people about what our product is and why we're doing it. Much like this is probably just as nerve-wracking. Thank you, Danny. And so there's also the the joy that when we got back, we were like, we did this thing, like this is huge, right? So if we can do that, and it opens our business up to so many more people that never would have seen us, and we can grow just on the back of that. That was a huge boon for us, but at the same time, it gave us the ability to then stop and go, okay, what do we need to learn? Because we leaned into a lot of stuff without knowing how to do it. We are self-taught. And so it was, I think, a really great experience for us to, know ourselves a little bit better.
And I think, I'm sorry, Diana, I'm not trying to talk all over you. You're good. But yeah, I know, for me, there's been in this business, there's three days that I remember just being very emotional because they were really powerful moments. So one was when we got our first order, when we got our first ever order from a customer. Second was just when we had finished filming the Shark Tank thing. And the third one was when I signed up for QuickBooks Online and MailChimp. And those were the 3 days that just really drove home to me the power of being a small business owner. So,
Diane, I'd love to follow up with you on that same front. What are the moments that you just remember, for better or worse, about this business and your journey through this process?
Well, I feel like, can an entire trip be a moment? When we went on our first sourcing trip in 2019, we also kind of launched right before everything shut down. But we went on our first sourcing trip to China in 2019, and just experiencing tea with your whole body. And it was during the harvest season when the tea makers were making the tea, and the aroma of just the tea leaves as they were withering in our room, it was just so incredible. And I was like, wow, everyone should experience this. It would be life-changing. It's just so calming and beautiful. And that's when I was like, yeah, it would be amazing to share this with everyone. But that whole trip was incredible for tasting all these different beautiful teas, and then meeting all these ceramic artists too. And then I guess also our launch party, which happened in February of 2020. Ironic timing. We had done we did a Kickstarter actually to get started in 2019. So that was our initial capital. And then we got our products together for that first holiday season. And we did so many events that first holiday season, and then we finally had time and bandwidth to launch officially. And then just a few weeks later, everything shut down. So that was a bittersweet launch. But then just throughout the pandemic, we did a bunch of virtual events. And that was cool to see, the power of the internet. It wasn't the in-person tea gatherings that we initially hoped to bring people together over, but it was, you know, still a way to cultivate community, and it made it more accessible to people from a much wider geographic area. So I think, you know, silver linings. Wasn't what we had in mind, but it was very cool to connect with tea lovers from like everywhere, who we might not have crossed paths with otherwise. Um, and then I think just like, you know, every time that we like launch a new tea or new packaging, or new teaware, I do want to say like a lot of time and effort goes into our packaging. We spent initially we launched with like compostable bags, just because we were thinking, you know, we really want to be sustainable, and that was like an accessible option for us at that time. Um, but then the more that we thought about it, the more we were like, we really care about circular design and kind of closing the loop. And so we actually invested a lot of time and effort into these little aluminum sampler cups, which, sorry, we are also sold out of like the sampler boxes. But that required like a whole special machine. And it turns out it's like a little much for us to do runs on currently. So we actually pivoted to these little mini steel cans, but both the aluminum pods and our steel tea tins, no matter the size, you know, they're infinitely recyclable. And we really wanted to, you know, think about our impact, our legacy, and like we didn't want to leave behind the world in a worse place, you know, because of our packaging and stuff. So we really took the time to think about like, what should the teas come in that preserves the flavor, the integrity, but then also you can repurpose indefinitely or recycle indefinitely. And then also, of course, Ayumi, my co-founder, is an amazing artist. And so she's come up with all these beautiful designs that really like encapsulate the feeling of the teas. And so that was important to us too, that when you're drinking teas, you should feel happy and you should like really enjoy it with your eyes as well as your mouth. So I think I've forgotten where we started with this question, actually. Did I
It's
answer
okay.
it?
It's so fun to listen to you and to kind of have you unpack the process of your design. I know a MailChimp team would be huge fans of your colors and your graphics and your design. It's so colorful and amazing. I also know we're, speaking of events, we're celebrating Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Are you doing anything special for that?
I'll use this opportunity to shout out our newsletter, which we send via MailChimp. My colleague Lena is great at rounding up cool happenings every month. And so our latest newsletter that went out at the beginning of May included like a whole roundup of cool things happening throughout the month for APAM. And some of that was like the LA Asian Pacific Film Festival, and the LA Public Library still has a bunch of like virtual happenings to celebrate the month. And then she also called out two small businesses that we're fans of. Sari, they do sustainably sourced jade. I have a little necklace, not wearing it right now, but it's kind of feels like a sister kind of company in their ethos, in that they're taking something traditional and making it their own, and kind of targeted towards a younger generation as well. And then Vincent Chong is an artist who carves these seals like in stone, and they make these like beautiful little seals that you can purchase as well. So yeah, I would say sign up for a newsletter, and every month we've got really cool things in our roundup, along with things happening in the Three Gems world. But
I would love.
it's been amazing, you know, since we've been on it since we launched, and it just makes everything super easy and easy to design as well. So we love it.
I want to follow up on that in just a moment. Getting back to you, Michael and Lucy, it's Mental Health Awareness Month. Are y'all doing anything to celebrate or bring awareness?
Go ahead.
We did a really cool special design. We usually try and do every month like a design that's linked to that month. So for May, we partnered up with Club Mental or just Mental, and did this really cool banana breathing design, which someone did mention in the comments. They are currently sold out, so I apologize for that, but we should have them in stock late next week. We have more on order. They're in production, but just as with life with bananas, remember to breathe. So you get that. We also have a cool promo that's going on for everybody that we do for Mental Health Awareness Month. And I think like this is a big month for us, kind of, I mean, personally and professionally, because yeah, I think that our business is kind of a mental health business, like at its core, you know, and I think, again, like we do a lot on social media, and there are tons of people out there who are like, I love this, I get it, I see what you guys are trying to do. And then there are people who are like, when I was a kid, we didn't need any of this stuff, and everyone was happy, and they were just skipping around in the field and just living their best life. And I think there are some people who believe that by identifying and giving voice to an issue, that you're creating the issue, which is you know, backwards, like totally backwards. And so I think for us, it's kind of like every day is mental health awareness, but I think these months, these kind of themed months is the way to put it, but these kind of officially observed months, I do think are really important, because I do think it gives an opportunity for that time to like shine a spotlight on these things. And maybe, you know, you are not really plugged into mental health every day of the year, but maybe during this month you're kind of learning more about it, and then, you know, maybe something comes up 3 months down the line and you kind of think back to, you know, something you might have learned during, you know, Mental Health Awareness Month. So I think for us it's a big moment for like education, and Lucy mentioned earlier about kind of destigmatizing the conversation around mental health, because I do think there's very much two worlds, where there are some people who are like, mental health is health, and that these are all, you know, kind of your mind is part of your body, and they kind of feed off each other, and a healthy one leads to a healthy other. And there are some people who are like, you know, anyone who's having any kind of mental health issue it's not valid, or it's not real, and they just need to like try and smile more, or you know what I mean, like that they'll put out into the like. And so I think like we really want to try and talk to the, like, I think, you know, we want to talk to those people who are like open to hearing and open to learning. And I think you know, we want to take this opportunity of Mental Health Awareness Month to do that, but I think it's something that we kind of try and also do throughout the year.
Yeah, we've also, I know I brought up community more than once, and I apologize, but that's kind of my shtick. We are also partnering with a couple of groups that may not be outwardly mental health, but so Right to Read in North Carolina is Drag Queen Story Hour. That is currently being outlawed, essentially. And so we're working with them just to, because, well, the because is it's so profound, but either way, so we're working with them so that we can, you know, if you're having a moment and you're at somewhere that is being criminalized and you may feel a little anxious, like if we can help in any way, because you are there to support and learn, and if we can help, you know, also calm you down, we'd love to. So we also actually, to go to Asian American Pacific Islander Month, we have partnered with in the past, Serenia, she's Angry Asian Woman on Instagram. She's phenomenal. She was the first Asian American firefighter in New York City. And she does a ton of outreach, and anytime we can, we help out and donate to her so that she can then in turn help others, which she's got a heart of gold. So but yeah, we worked with a lot of groups and communities that even we wouldn't see as outwardly like mental health, but they, you know, at the core of it, if you're doing something that is either, you know, dangerous, or I don't even know, there's just so many reasons to be scared right now, but we try as much as we can to help.
And I think it's, and I apologize, Anna, but I think, you know, when I first kind of thought up this product and you said like, who is your target demographic? I was like, anxious Apple Store manager. It's like, I was like, it's for people like me, right? And like, I think one of the things that we've found as we've kind of gone on is that there are communities out there that really need this. I'm not saying more than an anxious Apple Store manager, but for whom
Nobody needs
I know, but for
Apple Store
whom
manager.
these are really helpful. And like we mentioned before, like kind of the autistic community, which is last month was Autism Acceptance Month, and we did a really cool, I'll show you like the cool kind of rainbow infinity for that. And so I think it's like one of those things where as a business, like you can have an idea and you can have a business plan, you can say, here's who we're talking to. But like, I think if you put something out there into the world, your community will find you. And I think like that's one of the biggest things I think that we've learned is just that, you know, that the people that we're talking to on a regular basis are not the people I would have imagined that we'd be talking to 3 years ago. But I think we just are open to it. Like, we're just like, our big thing is just go with it. Like, if it seems good and it, like, just like, let's move with it and see what happens. But just kind of keeping ourselves open to those things. And I think that's been a big learning for us as we kind of find new people who are digging comm strips.
Mhm.
You both have mentioned community, and before I pass it over to Abby, I wanted to ask one last question. You know, I know that you both use, I believe, QBO and Mailchimp, and that is a combination that we are so excited about. I've gotten time to spend, I've gotten to spend time with our team in Atlanta at Mailchimp, and the idea of combining their amazing marketing and creative and community chops with the data that you can see and the decisions that QBO helps you make. We have some amazing things in store with that combination, and we're honored to have you as our customers. I think you embody the spirit of why we do this as a combined Intuit. And I'm really hoping that those products help you in some small way. I don't know if you had anything to share about that, but we really appreciate that you use these products and that you gain benefit from it, and that we get to be that small piece of your journey. And with that, Abby,
I was gonna let Diana go because I was just rambling on and on.
Okay.
Oh.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, that it's been so helpful to have those tools at our disposal. And like I mentioned, like huge fans of MailChimp and helping us create like the newsletters that we love putting together every month and designing them is a breeze. And QBO, we're lucky to have our bookkeeper help us with that, because myself, I'm going to be honest, I'm not in it like day to day, but I review it, all the time with my bookkeeper, and it's great to have all these different analytics and visualizations at our fingertips. So it's super helpful.
You're in it.
Yeah. No, I mean, QuickBooks Online and MailChimp, we use them regularly. MailChimp, I think, for an email service. There are other ones that sell themselves as more like nuts and bolts, but I think like the human element in MailChimp is just so much better. It makes it easier to, I think, make really great looking emails and manage your lists and things like that. And then QBO, I'm in there not as much as I need to be. I need to be in there more, like doing all the work, but I enjoy both of them. There is a bit of a learning curve, but once you start using them, it's really easy to get into it.
I gotta say, when we first used MailChimp, Michael literally brought everybody into his office. And when we say geek out, I mean, we geeked out a little bit. He was like, look, we send it 3 days later, it sends this 3 days later.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so just the fact that, like, to his point, it is so intuitive. That's great. Oh, Intuit.
Well, I know it's coming, and I'm very excited. I think you all will really enjoy some of the things that we're doing to integrate these two products and to create completely new and awesome ways to speak to your community and be able to optimize your time in doing that. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Abby. Thank you so much. This has been so wonderful to get to know you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Danny. I appreciate it. And thank you again, Michael and Lucy and Dan, for just being here and sharing more about your small businesses and your the pains, but also celebrating with us. And so just a quick reminder to the audience that we are going to open up for questions in the last 10 minutes. And so if you do have any questions, feel free to throw those into the Q&A instead of the chat. Before we do that, so again, going back to like Mental Health Awareness Month, I know you guys have shared a lot of how you use your own products to ground, but are there any other things that you guys do to sort of help yourself, stay in the moment? Or, Michael, you mentioned that like these kinds of things are very nerve-wracking, preparing for Shark Tank. Diana, I know obviously like going through the pandemic and trying to import things is very stressful. So what are some of those grounding rituals that you do for yourself outside of, again, like, using your own products? So just something that I think we can share with all of our members who are on the call today.
Two things I would say. One is meditate. I think I think meditation kind of, there's you can use an app or whatever, it's great, but, or maybe just take 10 minutes to yourself in a quiet room and like focus on your breathing. That can be meditation, that can be kind of, but you'd be shocked how much like just taking that little bit of time to like just kind of focus on your body and kind of focus on your breathing can make a huge difference in your day. That's one. And my other big one is I love playing Tetris. So if I'm feeling super duper stressed, I'll bust out my Nintendo Switch. We have no association with Nintendo. I just like the Switch, and bust out, and I'll play some Tetris, and that kind of helps my mind to kind of go into a flow state.
Yeah. So fun fact, I am the Tetris queen in my house. So that's cool. But yeah, no, I second everything Michael just said. I have a lot of children, so I can't find 10 minutes to do anything to myself, or for myself, really, for that matter. So I meditate before bed. And by that, I mean, I turn on a podcast or a meditation app. And then I put my sleep mask on, like I get everything ready, right? And then to Michael's point, it's not about thinking about nothing. It really is just kind of, thinking of my breath. And we do body scans a lot in my house. So my now 12-year-old, he's 12? Sure. My now 12-year-old has very high anxiety. So we do a lot of body scans before bed for him. And it has been amazingly helpful. So those are something that I like to do.
And what about you, Diana?
Say body scans were amazing during my pregnancy. They really saved me. And I would say like anything that just like takes me out of my busy brain and puts me back in my body. So walk every day, especially with baby now. But I think just like, even if it's like a 5-10 minute walk, just to turn off the brain a little bit, calm down that voice, and just like feel my body, feel the sun or feel the breeze, just reminder that like I am here in this moment. I think that's the most helpful thing. And then I haven't done this in a while, but I used to love dance classes, in person or during the pandemic virtual, just like getting really sweaty and tired. Also amazing for turning the brain off, and really like you can't think about anything else. You just have to think about like, how am I gonna like follow along and do that move? So anything that like fully occupies your attention, I feel like is great for just being in the moment.
I just want to add one thing. Horror movies. That's my go-to.
Also a mechanism of, occupying your whole brain, right?
Exactly.
And I love that, because I do think, that is in a way mindfulness on its own, right? Like being super present, taking up your whole brain, whole body, whole emotion is all kind of invested in that. So great. Couple of quick questions for you, Diana, and these are very logistical. So I just wanted to ask. So one is, I know you had shared that there are some products which are out of stock currently. And so is there like a timeline that you might be able to share with us in terms of some of like the sets or the mug kits that are featured? We have a couple of people who are like, we really want to know, so we can go out and purchase them and support the business.
Oh, sorry.
No need to apologize. We know running a small business is never easy, and inventory is definitely one of the most challenging pieces of that, since you have little control sometimes. So
Yeah, and I think like with our T-Wear partners, they're all like super small studios, like literally like Salamat is just Monica Galen, like it's just her churning out pieces in her like backyard pottery studio. So I know she's been like super busy with some like bigger pieces this year. She makes these like amazing like lampstands and sculptural things. So I am not sure what the timeline is for like this particular mug infuser set, but we are working all the time behind the scenes on like new fun tea-wear stuff. And Ayumi has spent the past 2 months in Kyoto, actually. She's usually in Tokyo, but past 2 months in Kyoto, scouting out some really cool like lacquerware and fabrics. And so these are all like fun tea time things that we are hoping to bring to life soon. So I'd say just like sign up for our newsletter or like follow us on Instagram and we'll announce like when we have things ready. Our vision is to like, always bring like fun, new, exciting things in like small capsule collections. So we might not always have like the same set available in our store, but we're always working on something new.
Yeah. And I love that personalization aspect too of kind of the finding delightful treasures along the way. It's like this is the opposite. Big business, Costco is like you go in, you can always find these little things, but I think it's especially lovely when you guys are supporting other small businesses and really sort of sharing in that joy as well. And then another quick logistical question. I know we're almost at time. What is considered like a stronger tea? And I think this might have maybe more to do with the brewing process as a tea lover myself. And so if you can like give a really short answer on like how do you brew a stronger tea versus like maybe something that doesn't have like as much strength, if we think of it from that perspective.
Yeah, you're totally right that like brewing has a huge impact on a stronger tea. So two things that really impact it are time and temperature. So higher temp, longer brewing time, that'll give you a stronger tea. But then the tea itself also really matters. So like our strongest would be like a smoked cassia rock oolong. So this is our like most oxidized, most roasted. And I think usually what you're thinking of when you think of a strong tea is like the oxidation and the roast level. So this is like kind of closer to what you might think of as like a black tea on the oolong scale. On the other end of the spectrum, like golden osmanthus, it's like more like a green tea. It's very lightly oxidized, very lightly roasted. So there's that whole spectrum.
Awesome. And then rapid fire for Michael and Lucy is any advice that you guys would give to like a new business owner who is dealing with the stress of starting a business, right? So I know obviously calm strips is certainly one piece of that. But for you guys, like because of the journey that you've been on, going from, just the two of you guys now to 7 employees, going on Shark Tank, any like quick hits that you would share with someone?
Do I have? One is don't be afraid to try something and fail because it's going to teach you something. And okay, 3, I said 2, but I meant 3. The second one is learn something. Like it will be scary. It is totally scary, but learn something new. Somebody will give you something and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. Figure it out. You got it. And then the third one is, I can't remember now.
Yeah. And I would say
processes. Just have a process in place.
2 really quick ones, 10 seconds. Just start. If you have an idea for a business, like just start putting one foot in front of the other. Like you can't perfectly plan it and have everything go exactly the way you want. You just got to kind of get out there and make it happen. And I think the second one is just is kind of what Lucy said, which is just learn from things that you mess up, because you will mess things up lots of things.
Repeatedly sometimes.
Yes. Embracing the failure, or maybe reframing the failure, I think is something that I've heard a lot.
Don't let anyone else tell you what your definition of success is. If you're doing something and you're happy and it's helping 10 people out there in the world and you're making 5 sales a month and that's great for you and you're happy, don't let anyone tell you that's not a great business. That could be a great business. That's an amazing business. You've done something really incredible.
Awesome. Thank you guys. So again, thank you so much. I think this has been a really great celebration of all of our various months, so it is Mental Health Awareness Month, Asian Pacific Islander Heritage Month, also Military Appreciation Month. So really, really thank you guys for being here. This virtual prosperity pop-up was sponsored by the Intuit Abilities Network here, as well as the Asia Pacific Network. So thank you to Danny and our team for supporting us today. And just want to keep plugging that we are going to drop those Zoom, the Zoom links for these small businesses. And so you can purchase with a special code for Intuit. I also want to plug, as a member of our Asia Pacific network, that we are doing a We Care Give Back campaign this month for Stop AAPI Hate, which is a nonprofit whose mission is focused on advancing justice, equity, and power by dismantling systemic racism. And so it really is a multiracial movement, multi-ERG movement, candidly. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for us to find sync there. And so we will also share that link in Zoom chat. But most of all, I think just a quick reminder to everyone, we all move fast. Whether it's small business life or, in our case, big business life here at Intuit. And so definitely take a moment for yourself, really calm yourself through a calm strip, or maybe take a moment for yourself with some 3 Gems tea, or whatever your preferred grounding moment. I know we talked a lot about meditation and body scans. And so certainly if you do want to learn more, I know that a lot of the ERGs are sharing a lot of things in our Slack channels about that. So whether it's today or 10 minutes from now, just take a breather for yourself, kind of take a moment, understand where your mind is and where your heart is. And I think that can help you in our work life as well as our personal life. So definitely want to make sure we all think and be present about the way that we do our self-care this month. So with that, thank you guys again for attending, and we will hopefully see you at a new event pretty soon. Thank you all.